Now let me give you one more scenario on setting goals. When I started making my first list, Mr. Shope said, "Mr. Rohn, looks like we're going to be together for a while." He said, "I've got a suggestion for you." He said, "I think one of the first goals you ought to set, you're a 25-year-old American male, sure you've made some mistakes, but now you're on the road to better things. You got a family, worth it. Reasons makes the difference." And he said, "You've got every reason to do this." He said, "Why don't you, among all the goals you're going to set, why don't you set a goal to become a millionaire?" A millionaire. This is America. All the possibilities are available. Why don't you set a goal to become a millionaire? He said, "It's got a nice ring to it." Millionaire. Enough zeros to impress your accountant? Millionaire. And he said, "Here's why." Now I thought, the man doesn't need to teach me why. I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great to have $1 million? He said, "No, that's not it. Here's why." And I had one of the greatest lessons I ever learned, and I'm about to share it with you. This will be worth the price of being here today if you can capture what I'm about to share with you. Babysitter fees, whatever else you paid. Some of you missed some sales today to be here, so this is a costly day for you. But what I'm about to share with you changed my whole life. Here's what Mr. Shope said. Set a goal to become a millionaire. And he said, here's why. For what it will make of you to achieve it. And I got one of the greatest classes in one sentence I've ever received in my life. Set a goal that'll make you stretch that far. For what it will make of you to achieve it. What a brand new reason for setting goals. What an all-encompassing challenge to have a better vision of the future. What for? To see what it will make of you to achieve it. And here's why. The greatest value in life is not what you get. The greatest value in life is what you become. Major question to ask on the job is not, what am I getting here? That's not the major question. The major question to ask is, what am I becoming here? It's not what you get that makes you valuable, it's what you become that makes you valuable. So Shope said, set a goal to become a millionaire. For what it will make of you to achieve it. Then he said, when you finally have become a millionaire, now, he said, what's important is not the money. I thought, wow, I've got some more to learn. He said, no, Mr. Rohn, I'm telling you honestly, you could just give the money away. Now, I did better than that, right? I told you. I lost it all. I'm rich by the time I'm 31. I'm a millionaire. I'm broke by the time I'm 33. So I didn't have to give it all away. I lost it all. Foolish mistakes I made. I'm a farm boy from Idaho. That early money drove me bonkers. I used to say, how many colors does it come in? I'll buy them all. I went crazy over that first money. I just went crazy. And then I made that one foolish mistake, right? Continuing guarantee. I mean, I'm so naive off the farm. I don't know what continuing means. And a few other mistakes. And by the time I'm 33, I'm broke. Now I've made and lost millions since then. But what an experience that was. And I'm telling you, the man was right. When I finally was broke at age 33, guess what I discovered? My money did not mean that much. It represented only a fraction of all my assets. Shope said, once you become a millionaire, Mr. Rohn, you can give all the money away. Because he says, what's important is not the money. What's important is the person you've become. Now, let me give you the key phrase on setting goals. Set the kind of goals that will make something of you to achieve them. Set the kind of goals that will make something of you to achieve them. Always keep that in mind. What will this make of me? If I set this goal and go for it, not only will I achieve it, but what will it make of me in the process? What a whole new concept on setting goals. Now, there's two parts to this, and then we're wrapping up goals. Here's the first part now in this goal setting for what you become. Number one, don't set your goals too low. Interesting, we teach in leadership. You'll find it on the cassettes. Don't join an easy crowd. You won't grow. Go where the expectations are high. Go where the demands are high. Go where the pressure's on to perform, to grow, to change, to develop, to read, to study, to develop skills. I belong to a small group. We do business around the world. You cannot believe the expectations at that level. What we expect of each other in terms of excellence, far beyond average. Why? So that we can each grow, so that we can receive from the group, we can contribute to the group, something unprecedented. It's called living at the summit. Go where the demands are high. Go where the expectations are strong, so that it'll provoke you, push you, urgently insist that you not remain the same for the next couple of years, the next 5 years, that you'll grow and change. So don't set your goals too low. The guy says, well, I don't need much. Well, then you don't need to become much. Now, here's the last part on setting goals. Don't compromise. Don't sell out. There were some things I went for back in those early years that I paid too big a price for. If I'd have known how much it was going to cost me, I never would have paid, but I didn't know. So don't sell out. Ancient phrase says, count the cost, count the cost, count the cost. An ancient story says, Judas got the money. You say, well, that's a success story. No. It's true, 30 pieces of silver in those days was a sizable fortune. You say, well, if a guy's got a fortune, right, that's a success story. No, you don't understand. His name was Judas. Doesn't that ring a bell? Judas. You say, oh, yes, Judas, the traitor. That's right, the traitor got the money. Doesn't that change the story? And the answer is, of course, it changes the story. Interestingly enough, after Judas gets the money from becoming a traitor, he's got the money in his hot little hand, and now he's unhappy. Somebody says, well, if you had a fortune, how could you be unhappy? Well, he wasn't unhappy with the money. He was unhappy with himself. Key phrase, the greatest source of unhappiness is self-unhappiness. The greatest source of unhappiness doesn't come from outside. The greatest source of unhappiness comes from inside. And here's where the erosion starts, doing a little less than you could. That's where the beginning little infection of unhappiness starts, doing a little less than you can, not feeling that good about yourself. So don't let that happen. Judas is unhappy. He says, what'll I do? He says, oh, I'll just take the money back. Walked in where he got the money and said, here, take this money, I'm unhappy. They said, heck with you, Judas. We got what we wanted, you got what you wanted, out. They threw him out with his money. Judas says, well, what'll I do now? He says, oh, clever. Should have thought of this first. I'll just throw the money away. And he proceeded to throw his fortune away. Why would he throw his fortune away? He was so unhappy with himself. And that's not even the end of the scenario. After he threw his fortune away, he couldn't change what he became, a traitor. And now, in total abject frustration, he goes out and hangs his worthless self, which all traitors should do, save the state the money. Why such a tragic end? Because he was so unhappy with himself. He sold out. He paid too big a price. Ancient script sums it all up and said, what if you gained the whole world and it cost you your soul? Too big a price to pay if you got the whole world. Don't sell out. Don't compromise your values. Don't compromise your virtues. Don't compromise your philosophy. Key. Here's the key word, beware. If Judas could speak back, he'd probably say beware. Two good words from ancient script. One, behold, the positive word. Behold the possibilities, behold the opportunity. Behold the drama, behold the awesomeness, behold the uniqueness. Behold the majesty, behold. What a good word. But here's the other word, beware, beware, beware. Don't sell out. Mark well what you become in pursuit of what you want. But I'm inspiring you, hopefully, to set the kind of goals that'll transform your life, make you far better than you are, far stronger than you are. Okay. Isn't this good advice? This is such good stuff. I should have paid to get in, right? Fabulous. What should a child do with $1? Let me give you the best advice I've got. And this is called sort of middle of the road scenario, and I'll show you how these numbers may change, but here's what I teach. Kids, never spend more than 70 cents. Okay, now you got to pick some number. When I met Mr. Schoaf, I was at about 110%. But remember this, if your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep becomes your downfall. Good little scenario. So here's the number that I found works best in developing a good financial plan. Never spend more than 70 cents out of every dollar from now on. Now kids ask me what? What do you do with the other 30 cents? Here's my best advice. 10 cents, charity. 10% charity. Supporting worthy projects, helping people who cannot help themselves. Some churches teach tithe, peace, portion. Turning back part of what you take out. Excellent, excellent philosophy. That's what that 10% is. And nothing teaches children responsibility and character better than generosity. No school, no class, no teacher can teach character better than the simple act of generosity. 10 cents out of every dollar. Now you can pick your own number. I'm just giving you my best scenario. Now the time to start this is when the amounts are small. Easy to give a dime out of $1. I'm telling you, kids will give you 10 cents out of every dollar if it's part of their philosophy, if you sell them on it. And that's the time to start, when it's easy, 10 cents out of $1. A little harder to give 100,000 out of 1,000,000. Someone says, oh, if I had $1 million, I'd give 100,000. I'm not that sure. We better start you early when the amounts are small, so it'll all be set in when the big amounts start to come, okay? So 10 cents for charity. The next 10 cents I call active capital. Capital meaning try to make a profit yourself. We live in a capitalistic society, right? Everybody now wants to join capitalism. That's why the walls are coming down. Capital belongs in the hands of the people. That's where the genius is. So the genius is to try to show a profit. Buy and sell. Render service. Show a profit. Now here's what I teach kids. Profits are better than wages. Wages are okay, but wages help you make a living. Profits help you make a fortune. The key is to just understand philosophically a little simple economic scenario. And there's all kinds of ways to make a profit. I'm working on a new book. Here's what it's called. I think it's going to be called, Of Course Kids Should Pay Taxes. It's going to be an interesting book. In California, where I live, kids do pay taxes. If an 8-year-old walks into 7-Eleven, buys something that costs $1, the proprietor makes him cough up 7 more pennies. 8-year-old says, what's these 7 pennies? Proprietor says, that's taxes. Kid says, well, I'm only 8. Proprietor says, congratulations, you're my youngest taxpayer. So in California, kids do pay taxes. Now the question is, should they? Now the title of my book is, Of Course Kids Should Pay Taxes. You got it. Right? The disciple went and caught a fish, found the miracle coins, and paid his taxes and Jesus' taxes. So way back then, Jesus did pay taxes. Now the question is, should he? And the answer, my little book says, of course Jesus and kids should pay taxes. Of course. Of course. If an 8-year-old wants to ride his bicycle on the sidewalk instead of in the mud, you have to pay taxes. Things cost money. Got to pay taxes. Aircraft carriers keep tyranny over there instead of over here. Aircraft carriers cost money. It's expensive to run this whole show. You can't use used missiles. I mean, you know, it's expensive to run the whole deal. Of course, everybody has to pay. Now, active capital means try your best to show a profit. Now, there's many ways to show a profit, not just money. Touch something, leave it better than you found it. That's a profit. Some profits are intangible, some profits are tangible. Long before Earth Day, for all sophisticated people, it was very proper when you left your hotel room to turn out the lights. All educated people. Why? Leave a profit. It's so easy to flip the switch and leave a profit. Some say, well, the hotel gets the profit. What do you care? All you need to become is a person who leaves a profit. Wow. I talked to a man who runs a whole string of apartments. He said, guess what? Most people, when they rent an apartment, leave it, what? Trashed, worse than they found it. What kind of a reputation would that be? Whatever you touch turns to trash. Whatever you touch gets dirty. Nothing you touch gets better. See, that's a poor philosophy. No wonder it leads to poverty, small lives. As one writer said, living lives of quiet desperation. This is where it all begins. Failure to leave a profit when you can, turn out the lights, doesn't matter what it is. Become profit-minded. Profits are better than wages because profit has the potential to make a fortune. Wages has the potential to make a living. So I teach kids, take part of your wages. If you earn the money, take part of it for charity and part of it to see if you can't make a profit. And there's all kinds of ways. My book's going to be full of all kinds of ways kids can make money. I teach kids how to have 2 bicycles, one to ride and one to rent. I mean, you know, it doesn't take long to get into business. You don't have to be a genius. Halfway bright, you can start showing a profit. Now, here's the next 10 cents called passive capital. Meaning, let somebody else use the capital, you provide it, you're passive, they're active. And let them pay you interest. Profits and interest. Unique way to make a fortune. In fact, there's a Bible philosophy. I teach teenagers this Bible philosophy. Here's what it teaches. The borrower is servant to the lender. Wow. So where is the power position? Not a spender, a lender. And if I've taught teenagers well, if you ask them, among some of the things you want to be, you know, when you grow up, you know, as years pile on, what would you like to be? I'm telling you, among some of the things that they would like to be, if they've sat in on my classes or gotten some of my material, they would say, I want to be one of them lenders. Powerful position. Let somebody else use your capital. Some projects require more capital than any one person has. So we've got capital pools, whether you put it in a financial institution or whatever, right? Earn an interest, earn a profit, right? Buy a car and sell it for more than you paid for it. Why? Because you leave it better than you found it. Touch something and leave a profit. Okay? It's not just wrapped up in money and economics. This helps to teach all other scenarios of life on profit and capital and expenditures, what to do with your time and what to do with your life, and as well as what to do with your money. Okay? Now this little scenario I call the ideal. Now here's what's important. To set up the ideal and work toward it. Because at first you may not be able to do these numbers. Some people are in such desperate situation currently, they got to go 97, 1, 1, and 1. I mean, you know, I had to start there. Start with pennies. And remember, it's not the amount that counts. Mr. Schoaf gave me the clear situation. Here it is. It's not the amount that counts, it's the plan that counts. When I met Mr. Schoaf, I'm 25 years old. I said to him, if I had more money, I'd have a better plan. He said, no, Mr. Rohn, if you had a better plan, you'd have more money. 6 years? 6 years? In America, 6 years? Come on, it's not the money, it's not the amount, it's the plan that counts. So set up an ideal plan like this. Now you can rearrange this and modify it to suit yourself. I'm just giving you here as an example. So set up the ideal and then start making progress toward it. Okay. Because finally these numbers are going to change if you move on up into the higher area. right? The people I work with around the world couldn't spend 70 cents out of every dollar. Would be obscene. That'd be too much. So these numbers are bound to change. I don't know what mine are. Probably 20% up here. A lot larger numbers down here. Okay? So these numbers can change. I'm just offering you a good sample philosophy. Remember, philosophy is the set of the sail. The economy is not the set of the sail for you. For you, the set of the sail is your own philosophy, your own thinking, your own plan, your own concept. Don't borrow somebody else's plan. Don't borrow somebody else's concept. Don't borrow the concept, spend all you can, cross your fingers and hope for the best. Don't borrow that. Develop your own philosophy, and I'm telling you, it'll lead you to unique places. Now, the rest of a lot of this is on the cassette tapes, but let me just give you 2 or 3 more pieces of the scenario here. Then I want to talk about communications, and then we're going to wrap it up. Okay. Here's 2 or 3 more parts to financial independence. Number 1, keep strict accounts. This is the best of disciplines. Keep strict accounts. Did you ever hear this expression? I don't know where it all goes. Did you ever hear that? I don't know where it all goes. Oh, we'd love to have you run our company. You don't know where it all goes. Whoa. Did you ever hear this? It just gets away from me. It just gets away from me. We'd love to turn the world over you. It just gets away from you. Come on, you got to have better disciplines than that. Let that be the 90%. Let that be the scenario of the 97%, but don't let it be your scenario. Don't let it become your philosophy. Keep strict accounts. Next, a new attitude. I had to develop a new attitude as well as new concepts. Here's what I used to say. I hate to pay my taxes. Shoaff said, well, that's one way to live. I thought, well, doesn't everybody hate to pay their taxes? He said, no. No, a few of us have gotten way past that. He says, once you understand what taxes are, here's what taxes are in our governmental system in our society. Taxes is how you care and feed the goose that lays the golden eggs. Democracy and liberty and freedom. Free enterprise. Wouldn't you want to feed the goose that lays the golden eggs? Somebody says, well, the goose eats too much. That's probably true. I understand that. Of course that's true. But see, better a fat goose than no goose. And here's the truth be known. We all eat too much. Let not one appetite accuse another. Of course the government needs to go on a diet. So do most of us. But hey, you still have to care and feed the goose that lays the golden eggs. Once you understand that that's what it's for. See, it is so important, the right attitude. Here's what I used to say. I hate to pay my bills. You open up the mails, nothing but these window envelopes, bills. I hate to pay my bills. Shoaff said, well, that's one way to live. I said, well, doesn't everybody hate to pay their bills? He said, no, some of us are way beyond that. I said, is it possible to love to pay your bills? He said, yes. Reduce your liabilities? Increase your assets? Wouldn't you love to do that? So start a whole new attitude here. Next time you pay $100 on an account, put a little note in there and say, with great delight, I send you this $100. I mean, they don't get many letters like that. Reduce my liabilities, increase my assets. My picture's changing. My picture's improving. I love to pay my bills. Keep the money in circulation. Pay my taxes. Feed the goose that lays the golden eggs. It's a matter of attitude. And here's the last on attitude. Everybody must pay. Of course, life is called opportunity, but life is called price. But we must all pay. We must all share. One of the classic stories of all time from ancient Bible script says, Jesus one day and his disciples were standing by the church treasury, synagogue treasury, watching people as they came by and put their offering in the treasury. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Jesus and his disciples standing by the treasury while everybody walks by. Jesus says, how much was that? How much was that? Interesting. And the story said some people came by, put in big amounts. Some people came by, put in modest amounts, average amounts. And the story says, then a little lady comes by and puts in 2 pennies in the treasury. Jesus says to his disciples, look at that. Look at that. His disciples said, 2 pennies, 2 pennies, what's 2 pennies? Jesus said, no, you don't understand. She gave more than everybody else. They said, 2 pennies is more than everybody else? He said, yes. Because I'm certain that her 2 pennies represented most of what she had. And if you give most of what you have, then you've given the most. Wow. What a lesson to learn. It's not the amount. It's what it represents of your life that counts. Now let me give you the wisdom of the scenario that did not occur. And this is the greatest of wisdom. And in my own particular peculiar brilliance, I have the ability to record for you what was not recorded in the scenario of the story. Here's what did not occur, which may teach us one of the greatest of the wise things that was taught in this scenario. Here's what did not occur in the scenario. Jesus did not reach into the treasury and get this little lady's 2 pennies and run after her and say, here, little lady, my disciples and I have decided that you're so pitiful and you're so poor that we've decided to give you back your 2 pennies. I'm telling you, that did not occur. If it would have occurred, she would have been what? Insulted. She would have rightfully said, I know my 2 pennies aren't much, but it represented most of what I had. And would you insult me by not letting me contribute what I wanted to contribute, even if it's only 2 pennies? I'm telling you that did not occur. Here's part of the wisdom of the story that was not recorded. Jesus left her pennies in the treasury, meaning everybody has to pay, even if it's only pennies. That's the key. And whether you start with pennies or whether you start with dollars or whether you start with nothing, remember, part of the scenario is to spend, of course. Part of the scenario is to invest, and part of the scenario is to show a profit, and part of the scenario is to help take care of people who can't take care of themselves. If you'll set up your own philosophy, I'm not asking you to buy my philosophy. I'm not asking you to adopt my numbers. I'm only wanting to provoke you to think, for you to come up with a splendid economic philosophy that's got you up early and got you up late, has got you thinking and pondering ways to use your resources and turn it into the dreams you want for the future.